We're really excited to have you join us at Own Future Fair. So to start off
Thanks
with,
for having me.
Jessie, what is your name, your job title, and what is it that you do?
So my name is Jessie Li. I actually wear many different hats. So up to 3 years ago, I had a very successful career in investment banking, and I worked in oil and gas and natural resources sector. But now I am an influencer, a luxury lifestyle and fashion influencer. And on top of that, I'm a co-founder of Change Media Group. It's a PR and marketing company I started a few years ago in China. And on top of that, I also coach young female entrepreneurs at Female Entrepreneur Worldwide. And I mentor teenage girls for Inspiring Girls Hong Kong. It's a charity that's recently launched in Hong Kong to help to pair girls between the age of 10 to 18 with different role models from different industry. So that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
Okay, so then, a lot of people see what influencers do on like IG and even on YouTubers, but can you give us your account and your perspective and the work that you really do as an influencer? What does it mean to be an influencer?
There's two aspects that comes with it. So the first is content creation. As an influencer, it doesn't matter which platform you're on, you are always creating content for your audience. Your content can be photo, it can be video, it can be, vlogs on YouTube, or it can be, short videos on Instagram. So that's one aspect of an influencer role. And the other part is about influencing. So it's about how you inspire others, how you empower others, how you utilize your platform to do, to send a positive message back to the society, back to the community. And I do see my platform as like a mini community. And that's where, I inspire and empower others with the messages I want to get across to my audience.
Amazing. So with all this content that you create, is there a typical project that you can run us through how you go from start to finish, just so we can get an insight about the work that you do?
Yeah, sure. Maybe I can start with how fashion weeks work. So every year, a lot of the top influencers around the world, they go to fashion weeks. There's twice a year. So you have the summer spring one, which will happen in September, because fashion is always like 6 months forward. And then you have the FW ones, the fall and winter one, that will happen in February. So before Fashion Week, normally I get invited by the brands to attend a show. So I need to work with the brands in terms of what outfits I will be wearing when I'm attending a particular show. For instance, if I'm going to attend Versace show, then Versace will dress me up and they will send me all those possible looks I could pick from, and then I will pick my look. And so that's one thing I need to plan ahead. But then you have, sometimes I have 6 to 7 shows a day. Then you really need to plan ahead in terms of, how to get from place 1 to B, and how to utilize your time in between. And also like months in advance, I will be coordinating with the airlines, coordinating with the hotels to find sponsors, and also coordinating with other brands who might potentially to sponsor for my trip. Because when a brand invite you, say, to Paris or Milan, most likely they might offer you outfits or accommodation, but a lot of the time you are actually not getting paid to attend the show. So you need to find ways to find other sponsors who will be able to cover your cost for that trip. So it could be a cosmetic brand or shoe brand or some other lifestyle brands. So it's about you planning ahead, pitching to those brands, say, hey, I have this trip coming up. Would you be able to sponsor me for this trip? That's a project. So that's kind of like a big project I have twice a year. Yeah.
Oh my God, that sounds like you're so much hecticness going on in that kind of arena. I cannot even imagine like how you're juggling all these different brands and attendance, and like also you have to post at the same time, right? You're also like creating content when you're there.
Yeah, so it's very important who you pick on your team in terms of photographer and videographers. So at every shoot, my photographer, he's actually very good. He's very good at multitasking. So one hand of him will hold a camera and the other one will hold his iPhone. So he will take a video and photo at the same time.
Wow.
And in between the shows, he will upload all the content to his laptop, and he might do slightly editing in terms of like white balance, things like that. But I do most of the edit myself. So in between the shows, or sometimes when I'm eating, I will be editing the photo or video for that particular show, because every day you have to post your post on that very same day. Because if you post the next day, it's already too old. Nobody wants to see it anymore. So you just have to pump it out really fast in the real time.
Oh my God. And then so do you edit all these photos on the computer, or like how do you process all this editing and posting?
I do everything on my phone because I cannot carry a laptop into the show, and it's just too much work. And especially when you're on the go in the car, it's just too hard to edit everything on your computer. So I have everything in my phone, and I edit everything in terms of planning, editing, or like communicating, project management, or just writing quick notes. Everything, I do everything from my phone.
Oh my God. Is there anything that you can show us through your phone to walk us through about kind of like how do you go from like editing a photo to writing the copy and like posting it? Is there something that you can show us?
Yeah, sure. So for instant, let's start from here. So for every Instagram post, there's a lot of planning goes behind it. So first, I need to think about, does the brands in between each post, does the brands clash with each other? Say if today I'm posting a Chanel makeup tomorrow, and then tomorrow it will look bad if I post like Dior makeup, So I can't have the two competitors next to each other, or have the two competitor brands too close to each other. And then I need to think about if the post look good on my feed overall. So I use this app called UNUM. So how do you pronounce it? But let's go have a look. So it will sync with my Instagram, so I can see all the posts that I've posted in the past, and then all the posts I'm going to post. And then once I know which post I'm going to post for every day, then I need to plan ahead with my captions. So with my captions, I normally use notes. For instance, I will have my copywriter to write me a few options for my post, and then I will be the one to decide which one to go ahead with. I do my post, for instance, I draft it up. So I select the photos I want to post, I put in the captions, and then I go to note, copy, say, okay, so this is the caption I'm going to select. And then I paste it in. Then instead of hitting post, share, I don't share. I go back and I go save draft. So when it's my optimal time to post, I go back into Instagram and I hit post. Another thing I also do, especially when I'm on the run, that saves a lot of time, is I have a list of pre-recorded, not pre-recorded, like I drafted hashtags. Because, every post allows 30 hashtags, and 30 hashtags to type up and is a lot when you're on the go. When I'm on the run, I will have those ones copy and pasted into the comments. But when I have a little bit more time, I would do more specific and niche hashtags in Instagram. The reason being that is every time you type up a hashtag, you can see how many posts is related to that hashtag. And sometimes you will have, say, style, hashtag style, hashtag fashion. You have 60 million post that's related to that hashtag, then your posts get really washed down. So you want to aim for hashtags that is like less than 1 million, probably like it's probably more optimal. It's less than 500,000, then the chance of your post staying at the top of the hashtag is a lot higher than being, to hashtag fashion bloggers, and then you have 70 million posts related to that. So that doesn't work. Another thing I use a lot to edit my photo is Lightroom. So you can see I have all those photos imported in my phone. I have my own preset presents. So that saves a lot of time when it comes to edit, especially when I'm on the go. Say for Fashion Week, I might go select something that's related to fashion. Then this one, I have a street style fashion. Let's clicking and see. So, oh, this one's not bad. Brighter colors. That works with the brighter color of this outfit, which is lilac. So everything else dims a little bit, and then the brighter color pops. So, okay, so that would be a good starting point. Another app I use a lot is InShot. InShot is where I edit my video. It's very easy. You import all the short clips in, and then you can add text, you can add music. There's so many different functions you can use with this, and you can even have very amazing transitions in between every short clips. So those are my everyday most used apps in my phone.
Wow, Jessie, that was insane. I feel like I just had a crash course of how to be an influencer. So then with all this, like with all these like skills, like I think you talked a lot about like the process, like what apps you use. So what kind of skills are you seeing that is really important in becoming a successful influencer? Any hard skills or soft skills that you can identify?
I would say being an influencer would touch every 21st century soft skills you would require. So say, let's go down the list. Creativity. Creativity is definitely the key when for you to become an influencer and for you to stand out among like the pool, because the market is very saturated. You need to have a creative content, and also you need to think from the brand's perspective. So if you are a brand, what kind of content would you want to create? A lot of people nowadays, they have a product and they hold it next to their face and they're like, please use this. This is not a very influencing way of promoting our product. People don't feel related. Yes, you're pretty and people admire you for being pretty, but when there's nothing people can relate to, right? So you need to give something, create a scenario where people can relate to. For instance, a recent post I did for Tom Ford, a private blend perfume. What I did was, it was during my staycation with Four Seasons Hotel. And what I did is I created the aftermath of a really fun party. So creativity is definitely the key. And then entrepreneurship skill, definitely, yeah, because when I run my own social media platform, as I said before, it's literally like you are just running your own business. You need to constantly think about, business trajectories, how do I pitch to the brands, because it's a very volatile market, and then how do I balance my incomes with my expense? There's like a lot of things you need to plan ahead. It's just like running a business. Also, communication skill is also very important. We are constantly pitching to the brands, so it's key that you have great communication skills, but also what would really help is to have a very strong personal brand. That would really make you to stand out among those sea of people. Being an influencer, it's a very saturated market, and the barrier of entry is so low. Anyone can just jump on Instagram or jump on YouTube and say, hey, I'm an influencer. So why would the brand pick you instead of like a million other people? Having a very strong personal brand is very important, help you to stand out from the crowd. And then what happens beyond that, and then once you've been picked, it's just like the interview process. Once you've been picked, you still need to pitch yourself, right? There's still 10 other very strong influencers that's standing out there. You need to compete against with them. So you need to have very strong communication skills, which you pitch yourself. It doesn't matter whether you are like a lawyer, a banker, a CEO of a company, or you're an influencer, everybody has this personal brand. The personal brand, people buy into your service, your product, not because they like your bank or they like your law firm, because they like your personal brand. That's why they buy into your service or product. Without a strong personal brand, you get buried in the sea of ocean of just normal people, normality, right? So having a strong personal brand will really make you to stand out, and it will take your career to the next level. Ability to adapt, and also having the right mindset. You will definitely be able to do it if you put enough, energy and mindset and hard work into it. And another one I want to talk about is definitely leadership skills. So when you're working in a project, and especially when you're traveling, you're working with a number of different people, having strong leadership skills and also critical thinking, problem solving skill is very important, because a lot of the time when we are shooting or when we travel, things doesn't go as you planned. You need to be able to plan and lead and think and make quick decisions and calls, because a lot of the time people are looking at you and waiting for you to make a call. So those are the very core soft skills we use every day, and I can throw you more, but those are the top ones I can think of.
And it sounds like you just have so much going on. Like, what is your work schedule really like? Can you walk us through your calendar?
I think my calendar can be break down into different seasons. So throughout the year, every February and September, I go to Fashion Week. So that's pretty much like a whole month. And then in between, then you have the summer season. With the summer season, a lot of the fashion brands or the beauty brands or skincare brands, they do a lot of the media trips. So in between all those media trips with hotels, fashion brands, fashion weeks, I also attend conferences. So in a nutshell, pretty much, I would say more than 200 days or even more, I will be on the road out of the 365 days.
Wow, that's insane. I cannot even imagine the lifestyle that you have and like what that all looks like. Wow. And I think we're getting such a great insight into the world of what being an influencer is. I think the question that I would like to ask you is about the reality versus perception.
That's a really, really good question. I would say the biggest perception is a lot of people want to be influencers because they think it's such a glamorous life. It's such a fun life. They just want to have a fun and easy life, and they think this is what influencers' life is about. And I can tell you this is so not true. There's a lot of work goes behind every content we create. A lot of people just think that as a very immediate career. Then what goes beyond that? Do you have end game? A lot of young people don't think about that. Like, what is your long-term plan? What is the long-term goal? Are you going to be an influencer when you're 60 years old? Obviously not. Then what is your exit strategy? Like, how you gonna, exit, like what's your end game to transit you from an influencer to a more sustainable business model? And also a lot of people don't think about, there are hard times, difficult times. For instance, during COVID-19, this is a very volatile market. Then your income stream will be very volatile. You need to think about how you can plan ahead, or how you can even invest, to smooth out some of those volatile times. So those are the things people really have to think about. One piece of advice I will give to young people nowadays is, before you dive into that, the reality you created for that particular role, I would strongly recommend you to do some research, and then also to do internships in that particular field. Because when you have internships and when you are in the actual environment, you will realize, you know what, the reality is actually not actually what you thought. Then you need to ask yourself this question: do I still want to be in this sector?
Yeah, I can't agree more, because I think so many people just they just see what's on the front, right? They don't go deeper into what they want to understand, the actual processes, and the fact that you were able to break down for us what are the processes that you do in terms of creating a post, to like how does it all work with different teams for Fashion Week. Like those are all the sacrifices of the work that people don't see when they just see the beautiful things aspect of it. And I think, but one thing that I realize in young people is that they always ask the question, because I think they're such a practical generation. They want to know, so how much money do I make? What is like the salary perspective? I don't know if there's anything that you can share to just give students a perspective, because I mean, you clearly came from a banking industry, which is definitely one of those very sought after careers. And then now you're in the influencer, which is also another very sought after for young people. So how can you share some insights about what that salary piece would be like?
I would say, well, it really depends. I have friends who work in fashion and beauty, and they are young and they don't have that many years of, they have to go through so many years of hard study and, collecting certificates like CFAs, and they were getting like 200K a month. So it really comes down to, that's why I couldn't emphasize more, as like having a strong personal brand is so important. And as an influencer, it's also the same. It depends on how many followers you have, what's your engagement. But some influencers, they can be very junior, they have not so much followers, but they're getting paid very well because they have a very good relationship with the brand or the PR. So then it comes down to the personal brand thing again.
Yeah. Thanks, Jessie. That's really, really insightful. So I think we have about one last question to just ask you, and I think this has been a really great conversation to just know more about what you do and just talk a little bit about the future. Where do you see the future of the influencer industry going? And what are some of the changes that you foresee, and how can students kind of like, if they want to get into it, how can they start? What do they need to do?
So I don't think there's an age barrier. It really depends on what kind of target audience you're focusing on. And then the industry, I have to say, it's very saturated because there's no barrier of entry. There's a lot of people in this industry. So that's why I couldn't emphasize more, is having a very strong personal brand would definitely help you to stand out. So I would say for the young people who want to become an influencer, first of all, you need to be yourself. Authenticity is I think it's very important for you to search, where your actual passion lies, what are you good at, what your strength is, and then you think about it. Do I really want to dive into this thing? It's not about, following the trend. You need to be yourself and be the next trendsetter. Don't be the next trend spotter. So be yourself is very important. And second, if they really want to succeed in that market, strategy is very important. Then you need to do a lot of research. You need to think about what are the methodologies and how does the business model work and how does the marketing strategy work. So you can even read books or listen to podcasts on those related topics, and then just to learn from different other people.
Wow, thanks, Jessie. Thanks for sharing so much great insights about what you do, your thoughts, and like what the future is all about. And like, we're so grateful to have you. Thank you. And I think we just want to say thank you so much for being part of On Future Fair 2021. And I think now we can move on to the live Q&A.